Live from the KWQC Broadcast Center, this is TV6 Quad Cities Today.
Multiple tornadoes touched down in Nebraska, killing 2 and hurting at least 19 people.
Storms moving through Iowa overnight deal some damage to Cedar Rapids, knocking down trees and power lines.
And of course, this is a live look at our Doppler this morning. It's messy out there, but not nearly as bad as it was, say, 3:30 this morning when we actually had a tornado warning in Scott and Rock Island counties, leaving behind some pretty impressive damage.
Absolutely. The tornado warnings ended at 4 o'clock this morning. Then we had severe thunderstorm warnings that moved through the area. And we're just now starting to get a better and better view, Greg, of how much damage has been caused. A lot of trees down, a lot of house damage. A lot of limbs lying down on roads, many things like that.
Yeah, a lot of damage that wasn't directly done to houses by the wind, but by trees that were knocked down by the wind here. And that's exactly one of those things you expect to see with the straight line wind threat that you get out of these big, long storms. Now, at one point this morning, this line of storms was about 55, 60 miles long, and it prompted, of course, tornado warnings in Scott and Rock Island County. But for the time being, things are looking a little bit better, at least just some scattered showers and storms out there. Most of these are falling apart. In fact, as we go hour by hour through our forecast today, things do look better. First, of course, a look quickly into the past, the last 6 hours, showing all that activity pushing through. But most of the activity off to our west is starting to dissipate, and I expect to see some sunshine by the late morning or early afternoon at the very latest. And while that sunshine may be hazy, it'll be enough to put us at 90 for this afternoon, with isolated showers and thunderstorms cropping up from about 1 o'clock this afternoon on towards 4 or 5, just about the same timing that we had yesterday. Then, just like yesterday, we get that little lull before potentially another round of these long lines of storms moves through north of the Quad Cities again tonight. So we have basically the same setup we had yesterday. We'll talk more about it coming up.
Again, a lot of damage from our overnight storms in our area. A lot of that damage, a lot of the photos coming out of Wilton, Iowa, west of the Quad Cities near the Durant area. Danielle is live there with more on what's going on. Danielle, what are you seeing?
Well, Morgan, we drove around Durant this morning just for a few minutes, and it's clear to see how much power this storm packed overnight. Look at this tree behind me right now. It looks like the wind just snapped it off just, about 15, 20 feet in the air right there, clear across. You can see the tree lying on the ground next to it there. Other pieces of trees lying throughout the area. Now, this isn't the only downed tree we've seen in this area. There are several, and I keep talking to other residents in this area who are telling me about other trees, other power lines in this area that are down right now. We're seeing a lot of branches and debris lying on the ground throughout the city of Durant, all across the city, really. When we got into town, there was a city worker directing traffic there. He told us about a tree that actually fell down on top of a mobile home somewhere in town. We haven't seen that yet. He said, that fell down and hit that mobile home. We've seen a garage just down the street here, actually, that has been blown in. The door actually blew in. There's shingles around. We've seen chairs and patio furniture, blown around this city here, tree branches, both big and small, lying everywhere. I talked to some of the residents who live right here on 6th Street, which we're on right now in Durant. They tell me that this is the worst storm Durant has seen in about 8 years. Now, I asked what it was like overnight when the storm rolled through here. They said, it kind of just came out of nowhere. It was a surprise to them. It was stormy, rainy. All of a sudden, they are talking about the wind that just rocked the foundations of their homes. Said it was a pretty scary thing. They're surprised no one was killed. Now, another interesting thing to note, the people I've talked to here said they did not hear any sirens going off, so they're lucky they heard some alerts on their phone that were able to, tell them to go down into their basement and stay safe there. Talked to some city officials and the Iowa State Police in town who say that so far they've heard no reports of any injuries, so that's good news this morning. Now, we're going to keep checking out this area, make our way over to Wilton, Iowa as well to check out some damage reports there. We'll bring you updates as we get them. Reporting live in Durant, Danielle McCarthy, KWQC, TV6 News.
All right, thanks, Danielle. This is a look at power outages right now, according to Mid-American Energy. And the breakdown that you see there in the center of your screen is the Illinois Quad Cities in particular. and where the outages are there. You can see that most of them are in Rock Island County, counting Rock Island County and Rock Island together. Almost 700 customers are without power. Earlier this morning, we had about 2,000 customers without power in the Illinois Quad Cities. Now we're looking at right around 1,600 customers without. On the Iowa side, not as bad. In fact, only about 300 customers without. In the Iowa Quad Cities. But again, we've been getting a lot of reports of branches on power lines, power poles that are blown over or leaning. We've seen a lot of pictures so far about that today, so these numbers could continue to change.
Let's take a look at some of those pictures, just the ones that people have submitted on our Facebook page this morning. We want to thank all of our viewers for sending these photos, some of them quite unbelievable. This is a view of a tree, a large tree that was actually uprooted, taking a sidewalk with it. That's the underside of the sidewalk right there, all the dirt and everything underneath it. A tree uprooted, pulling up that sidewalk. Another photo that we have from a viewer this morning. Let's take a different view. A lot of tree limbs down
we've got so many
roadways
of these
this morning.
We've got a lot of these pictures, and we can sort of go through them here fairly quickly. Just to give people a feeling of what we're looking at here. That was, I believe, DeWitt, Iowa. That's one of the leaning power poles that I was talking about earlier.
This is Welton here. Yeah, Welton, Iowa, of course, having some power issues there. All the way north, I mean, tons of people without power. This is another view of a tree that's down, looks like across a roadway. Crews working around the clock since storms rolled through this morning to try and get that debris cleaned up before people head out the door. This is what we were talking about a little bit earlier. Trees down, knocked out what looks like the window in the back of that car right there. You know, a lot of people experiencing this damage.
And we're going to be hearing about, I mean, people are going to spend all day today in many communities dealing with this, because we do have trees and branches down over a wide part of the QCA. That's a picture there, again, from Wilton, showing that somebody's front porch railing has been peeled back a little bit, and that's actually mild damage compared to some of the other pictures that we've gotten. And again, yeah, that's a striking photo. The one that you're looking at here on our Facebook page. This one here that we're seeing now is from Rock Island, showing a tree that's fallen down on a car, and you can see only the front part of the car, the grille and the license plate and the lights, because the tree is covering the rest of it. All right, this is Cedar Rapids. This is impacting actually quite a bit of the state of Iowa, starting late yesterday. Cedar Rapids here, you can see limbs, power lines down, a shed in Cedar Rapids damaged. Also, thanks to Heather Eaker in Clinton, who sent us this photo of small hail that failed there overnight. We've gotten multiple hail reports as well from places like Clinton, Bettendorf. As always, if you have any storm or damage photos, you can send them straight to 6. You can let us know multiple ways. You can email them, news@kwqc.com. You can post them to our Facebook fan page or tweet them to us, our Twitter account @KWQC News.
And now, the Quad Cities' most reliable forecast with meteorologist Greg Dutra.
What an afternoon yesterday, what a night last night. And we knew this was going to happen as the heat and humidity built across our area yesterday. We were calling for scattered storms during the afternoon. They happened. And then that round of storms during the overnight, which actually fired up pretty close to where we expected them to, maybe a little bit north of expected. That didn't really affect them too much, as again, round number 1 was mainly north of the QC, but round number 2 is the one that prompted those severe thunderstorm warnings and also the tornado warning that was out from about 3:30 this morning till 4 this morning for the QC metro area. A very noisy round of storms, many reports of trees down. Of course, we've been covering that all morning long on Quad Cities today. But let's go ahead and look into the future here, as just some scattered showers are out there right now. Perhaps even a run-in with a couple of rumbles of thunder on your way into work, especially if you live off to the south or off to the east of the QC metro area. These storms, by the way, here off to the north and west of the QC continuing to die out a little bit. And while these showers may move north through Clinton County, really not much going on. If anything, we're kind of having a drying trend with just a couple of scattered showers, again, kind of pockmarked across our viewing area.
All right, we continue our storm coverage this morning. There is damage in Rock Island.
Yeah, let's go to Tiffany Lou, who is live in the 4500 block of 7th Avenue. Tiffany, what are you seeing out there?
That's right behind me, there is a big tree branch that has fallen in front of these two homes. Now, we talked to firefighters, and they tell us that there are no damage to their homes, but the reason that they're here is because it actually fell onto a wire, which energized a smoke, and it was actually smoking up here at Bryan Chiropractic. So firefighters are here working on it, making sure there's no other fires, and they tell us that Mid-American crews are on their way to fix that wire. And we actually went around the block onto 45th Street on that side. There was another tree down, so it looks like this block of the 4500 block of 7th Avenue and around this area were affected more by the storms and things such as that. We're right on the border here with Rock Island and Moline, but we're lucky to report that there are no injuries and again no damages to any homes. We're live in Rock Island. Tiffany Liu, KWQC TV6 News.
All right, thanks, Tiffany. If you see any storm damage, if you have any storm damage photos, we'd love to see them. You can send them straight to 6 by emailing them to us, news@kwqc.com, or post them to our Facebook page or tweeting them at KWQC News.
All right, and still to come, the market for e-cigarettes is booming. What challenges face the government in regulating them? Coming up. And this is Quad Cities, Illinois. We're seeing right now just over 1,500 people. That's actually down from what we were seeing most of the morning, but not by too much. Now, the Iowa Quad Cities, according to Mid-American, close to 300 people. That number is up from what has been reported earlier this morning. Of course, those numbers continue to fluctuate as people are calling into Mid-American to report outages as they're waking up this morning. Now, we're seeing a lot of that damage, not just to power lines, but to homes, cars, lots of tree limbs in people's lawns. We've got KWQC's Danielle McCarthy, who is in the Wilton area this morning. Danielle, what are you seeing out there?
Well, Morgan, we're looking at Mauer Street right now, and you can kind of see where this storm took its path right here, knocking down several trees just in this one block. Now, just when you drive around the city, you're going to see branches like this kind of just lying all over the place. We've seen quite a few in the streets there, but I just talked to the city administrator here in Wilton. He says that all of the streets in the city are clear now. Crews have been working at it all morning, trying to get these branches out of the way so that people can make their way safely through town. You can see all these crews here right now working to remove these trees. When I talked to the city administrator, asked him about the power outages that you were just talking about, David and Morgan. Right now, he says that crews are just down the way working on those outages right now. He said, you know, as soon as they're able to get their job done, everyone here will be able to get their power back. No exact estimate on how many people here in Wilton are without power, but we have heard of power outages both here and in neighboring Durant. You know, pretty widespread damage in both towns, although it does seem to be a little more concentrated here in Wilton than it was in Durant. Still, though, debris lying, you know, in much of these areas, and we're going to keep talking to residents to see, you know, how the storm was for them when it came through. Again, most people telling us that it really just kind of came as a surprise to them and was pretty much over before they knew it. And again, we'll keep you updated as more information comes in. We're live in Wilton right now. Danielle McCarthy, KWQC, TV6 News.
Danielle, thank you so much. Definitely a familiar sight for a lot of people driving around this morning. Let's head over to David with a look at some pretty severe weather in the surrounding areas, surrounding the state of Iowa and Illinois, David.
Yes, this is Nebraska, so this is away from us, thankfully, okay? This is dramatic close-up video of the powerful twin tornadoes, two of them that touched down in Pilger, Nebraska on Monday. You can see all of this debris swirling around. And then if you look here off in the distance, the camera is going to move just a little bit, and it's going to show a second tornado that the first one spawned. So you actually had two tornadoes at the same time. Very rare. Updated this morning, at least 2 people were killed in this Nebraska tornado. Both tornadoes, 19, are still in critical condition. Hospital and emergency officials say half the town of Pilger, Nebraska was destroyed.
Whole blocks of houses are destroyed, and all of the business district, our co-op is gone, all of the grain bins are gone.
Rebuild, it's going to take a long time. So, yeah, all our machineries in that machine shed, that's all gone. We can't farm the rest of the year because, you know, we got our planter, our combine, our baler, everything's in there, and can't feed the cattle now, so it'll just be rebuild.
And here's a look at the damage those tornadoes left yesterday. Nebraska's governor has declared a state of emergency. National Guard will be deployed today to help local emergency responders and to help with the cleanup.
And new this morning, we do have a look at damage in Cedar Rapids from those storms overnight. Of course, they hit them before they hit us. This is about an hour and a half northwest of the Quad Cities. You can see they were dealing with some heavy rains and strong winds. Tree limbs, power lines also down there. About 1,000 people there are still without power this morning. And we do want to thank one of our viewers, Heather Eaker from Clinton, for sending us this photo of small hail that fell there overnight. Of course, this morning, some areas of Clinton County dealing with a lot bigger problems than that. If you've got any storm or damage photos, we'd of course like to see them. Send them straight to TV6 by emailing news@kwqc.com or just post them to our Facebook page.
And by the way, when you do, if you can mention where
you are,
they are,
yes.
Yeah, a city and a state, maybe a general area address-wise, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. Today, city leaders in Moline will take a first look at expanding advertising on trash carts. Earlier this year, about 1,900 advertising lids were installed to test out the idea. It involves putting local ads on the bins while also giving homeowners nearly 10 extra gallons, nearly 10 gallons for trash because of the raised design. Fewer than 10 people have asked to have the new lid removed since the pilot program started 2 months ago.
Just about every home has a trash cart. Not every home has web access or a mobile phone. So particularly for the older population, if they need to be made aware of a health initiative, a tax program for retired veterans, for example, this is a good vehicle to get that sort of message out.
City leaders are now looking at expanding the program to 15,000 trash carts for the next 5 years. They say the pilot program alone generates $600 a month and will generate more than $7,000 per year. Citywide agreement would bring in almost $73,000 in a year for Moline's sanitation fund.
Tonight, Bettendorf leaders want to hear your opinion on making way for the new I-74 bridge. City leaders are planning to transfer an alley adjacent to Ross's restaurant to the Iowa DOT. They'll hold a public hearing on that tonight at 7 at City Hall. Ross's restaurant accepted a deal from IDOT to buy their property earlier this year. They'll stay at their current location until August of next year. The restaurant then plans to relocate, but has not picked a new spot yet.
Plans are moving forward to bring a new Walmart to Rock Island. The Illinois-Iowa Center for Independent Living officially opened its new building up the street from its old location in the Watchtower Plaza. The center moved out to make room for the new Super Walmart. That's one more step to continue to create new development and revitalize the 11th Street corridor.
I think it's going to be a good win-win for everyone with our new building and the Walmart going in.
Anytime you're able to have a new building construction to carry on with the legacy of such a great organization, it provides hope for an entire community.
City could end up investing up to $15 million to bring in the new Walmart. The company would pay for the property and bring in $1.5 million in sales tax each year. Walmart is expected to sign a final deal with Rock Island soon. Construction should begin late this fall or early next year.
We continue to get reports in, some of them delayed. A report actually coming in from Tipton, Iowa early this morning, and this report actually occurred before the tornado warning in the QC metro area was issued, and that storm was definitely intensifying as it moved towards the Quad Cities. As reported here out in Cedar County, which is where Tipton is, thunderstorm wind damage, a barn down on a car, numerous trees uprooted, a fence down, and a spotter also stated that barn was in a tree too. So that was as that storm was really getting wrapped up about 10 minutes before the tornado warning was issued for the Quad Cities. You can see why they issued that tornado warning. Scattered storms early, though, for us. None of them severe, thankfully, as we head through the next couple of hours. But another chance for severe weather tonight before we shape things up. A lot to talk about coming up after the break.
David Nelson and Morgan Otier. This is KWQC TV6 Quad Cities Today.